Hey, what's going on? Knoxville 363 here at the Boost Mobile store in Bourbonnais, Illinois. My buddy DJ, who owns the shop, allowed me to come in the store and do a review because a couple of you guys had questions in reference to the Samsung Prevail size comparison next to the ZTE Warp, as well as the Motorola, the Triumph from Virgin Mobile. Alright, so a lot of people had questions in reference to the Virgin Mobile Triumph compared to the size of the ZTE Warp. You're basically going to get the same size phone, however they're shaped differently. This one's more of a box shaped, and the ZTE Warp is more of a rounded shape. What's the megapixel on the Triumph, DJ?
Megapixel on the Triumph is
3? Okay. No, it's 5.
Is it?
Yeah, 5 megapixels, so you're getting the same. And there is flash. There is flash on both phones. The main thing is just the shape is different on them. So I don't have a live version of the Virgin Mobile phone. I just want to do a quick size comparison. Main things people were wondering about was the size comparison between the Prevail and the ZTE Warp. So I'll try and size them up together. So that's pretty much, if I can get the lighting off, that's how much bigger the phone is and the screen difference. Turn them both on. So if you want to see the browser on both of them, open up browser, and you can see immediately a huge difference where you need to pretty much use the pinch to zoom on the Prevail, as opposed to the ZTE Warp where the screen's large enough to the point where you can just immediately start typing. If you go and bring up the keyboards, you see how the keyboard on the Prevail is a lot more crammed because the screen size is a lot smaller, so therefore you have a lot more room to type on the ZTE Warp. If you flip it into landscape mode, then it makes it a lot more comfortable to type on, as opposed to you don't really need to do that on the ZTE Warp. If I can get it. Okay, there it goes. Now on the, there we go. Open up the browser. On the Transform, once again, the keyboard's a little bit more spaced out. They're pretty much the same size phone. The Prevail and the Ultra are pretty much, I would say, they're equivalent. However, the screen's a little bit wider and it gives you a little bit more room. However, that's when the sliding feature comes into play and gives you a lot easier access to type in what you want. I'll do the speed. So say for example you want to look up, he's got the swipe keyboard. So let's do that on this one. Apple. And click go. All these phones are running on the 3G network. None of them are on Wi-Fi. Obviously it's okay, so they pretty much finished at the same time. Let's go to the Wikipedia site, and this one's working. Now I use the Wikipedia on this one. I use Dolphin Browser HD, so therefore that's why I don't use the browser on this particular on the Warp. It's loaded. Prevail's still working. So I mean, obviously you're seeing the difference. The 3G signal is not that strong where I'm sitting at right now. However, it's not terrible. One thing I am noticing now that I've been using the ZTE Warp, that it runs a lot smoother when you're scrolling, when you're doing your web browsing. As you can see, they're still both, it's hard to say how good the 3G is. But that's the huge difference right here, is screen size. And as you can see, as I explained in my other video, the home button was on the right. Now it's on the far left on the ZTE Warp. On the transform, let's go to Google. Apple. Now they have the same processor and everything, right, DJ? The Ultra and the ZTE?
The ZTE, the Ultra has a 2.3 and ZTE has a 2.3. But I think they're...
Okay, one thing I'm noticing from using the Ultra is, just like the Prevail, the internet browser is a little bit more cramped due to the screen size being smaller. As far as typing, I'll use one hand. I'll go back. No, the processor. I think they're 1 gigahertz processor, I believe. Okay. And since I'm doing this on one hand, one thing I will say, this keyboard feels really nice. It doesn't feel like any of the buttons are gonna fall off or anything like that. That's your main concern usually when you talk about a key of the actual physical keyboard coming out. The general construction, the back of it feels, I'd say, to me it feels a lot nicer than the ZTE Warp. I think, as I mentioned before, I think that they did a better job actually constructing the transform than they did with the ZTE Warp. I don't know if that's due to them rushing, them putting the ZTE Warp out, just not even, what would that be, like a month after this phone came out. The sliding feature doesn't feel like that would break or anything due to people using it a lot. I mean, I'm sure that you constantly sliding it open, that it would put wear and tear on the phone. However, the construction, it's both, all these phones are pretty much, I would say they're all about the same weight. None of them are heavy or anything along those lines, to the point. To scrolling feature, I would say that this is about as responsive as the ZTE Warp. I don't think that I'm not sensing any lag going back and forth or up and down. One thing that there is the camera on this one is 3 megapixels and the Warp is 5 megapixels. However, this right up here where my thumb is has the front-facing VGA camera to use websites like Skype, which on the Warp that feature is not offered. So that is pretty much it. I don't know what else to cover. Their main issue was to see size comparison between these two phones, and there it is. As far as thickness goes, I'll put the this is the Ultra. There you go. It's kind of okay there. So there you go. It is a little bit thicker due to the actual physical keyboard of it. However, maybe ever so slightly a little bit heavier, I'd say. And also on these newer phones, I'll put them side by side laying down, it is going to be a little bit, the transform does stick up a little bit higher, obviously once again due to the keyboard. When you're putting the Prevail, pretty much the same height and thickness. the Prevail and the Transform. Once again, this top piece that slides out, that's pretty much what sticks out above it. Anything else? I think that pretty much covered the questions that people had. Their main thing was they wanted to see the size difference between the two. It is definitely a lot quicker and more responsive. ZTE Warp, when you're comparing it next to the Prevail, it is very noticeable difference. Is it worth the upgrade? Absolutely. And best part is the store in Prevail, Illinois always has the ZTE Warp and the Ultra always in stock. Come here, guys, for your all your phone needs. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to always call this number and ask away. Very resourceful man. Always has the best products and best prices. So thanks for watching. If you guys have any more questions about any of these phones, feel free to leave a comment or private message.